When I put this presentation together, and hello everyone, thanks for having me. So when I put this presentation together, I didn't realize that this was Eurovision week. So I'm a huge Eurovision fan. If I would have known, I would have done like a Eurovision theme for the talk. But I didn't realize when I was putting this together, this was a fact. So the theme is a little bit more narcissistic. It's basically AI-generated pictures of myself wearing this shirt. And I asked the AI to do like I don't know, there was a trend, Ghibli, like Japanese cartoon videos. The author, the Japanese guy, he apparently hates AI, but you know, that's the way it goes, I guess. But anyway, this is a Ghibli picture of me, vibe coding in the office. I don't know how OpenAI decided that the office would be empty. But this is kind of sometimes what it looks like. People are working from home. So I'm going to talk about, there's a new kind of annoying buzzword that surfaced recently, which is vibe coding. Please raise your hand if you have heard of the term vibe coding. That's not too bad. Okay, thank you. So when I put this in the presentation, it was probably a month ago when I sent in the title. It was only like a very recent term. Okay, so what is vibe coding? This is a picture of Rick Rubin, music producer extraordinaire. And there was a quote from him on Twitter, and we of course believe everything we see on Twitter. It's the new source of news. There was a quote from him about vibe coding, which is obviously fake, but vibe coding is, like, I like that picture of him because it's like, I don't know how much code you guys have written in your career, but it's like, oh, I'm creating a for loop and I'm going to do this dictionary and I'm crafting it and oh, this doesn't work. And you sit there and it's like, I like it, it's fun, but it's like meticulous work. Whereas with vibe coding, and the annoying phrase vibe coding was coined by like an AI luminary, like ex-OpenAI guy. And vibe coding is when you just close your eyes, put on your headphones, listen to some music produced by Rick Rubin. It can be Slayer. He produced Slayer. He produced Beastie Boys and Johnny Cash. And I think at least one of the albums that was featured earlier. Anyway, you listen to the music and just tell the AI like what you want to code. And it just spits it out. And then you just paste it in and you hit run and see what happens. And if you get a bug, just paste in the bug, try again, boom. Anyway, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But first things first. So I've been working in market research for about 8 or 9 years. I still see myself as a guest/imposter. I was a techie. I had a business where we would just solve tech problems for people, and somehow I got sucked into this industry, and here I am. In Icelandic, we have this, I'm from Iceland, in Icelandic we have this term which is glögt gests augað, which is the guest has a sharp eye for things. And I still kind of see myself as an intruder, so I'm just going to say like how I see these things as a guest in your industry. So when I watch Emily in Paris on Netflix, I sit back and relax. I was actually going to buy brown trousers for this talk, and I should have made it wear Adidas shoes, but there we go. When I sit back and relax and I watch Emily in Paris, Netflix knows about it, obviously. And Netflix will then recommend to me to watch Selling Sunset, another excellent show. And this happens so fast. Like, I click on Emily in Paris, and there are data pipelines, and there are bits streaming across the world, and Netflix knows almost immediately to recommend something else to me. If I put my flat onto Airbnb, the same thing happens. There's like an estimate of how much more money they're going to make that streams across the internet, and some executive gets a Tableau update very, very quickly, like super fast. Does this remind you of an industry that you know? No, it doesn't. So the problem with today's like tech stack in market research is like when I answer a survey, like how quickly does that, I mean, obviously some people are doing it faster than others, it's different. Quantum, have you ever heard of quantum? I was going to do a survey. I've heard of quantum. I've never actually seen it in the wild. So to me, it's almost like an urban myth. And there are people in Ipsos who are in some closets who like, you don't show it to clients, who are sitting there working on quantum, right? But apparently it's great. And firing up Dimension Survey Reporter, I have done that. And that feels a bit like, you know, when Marty McFly steps into that car and he dials in the year he wants to go to and he goes back to the future. That's how I feel when I fire up Survey Reporter. I'm like, this is how people used to do it. But they're still doing it. And I don't want to knock Dimensions. Dimensions is actually, or Unicom, it's a great piece of software for doing surveys. I don't underestimate it. It's like, it is pretty good, but the tool stack isn't great. So, challenges with older technologies, part 1, files. Everything is file-based. It's very niche, so like it's only used in our industry. It can take hours to run a script, and when you open up Survey Reporter, there's no dark theme. Oh my God. There was supposed to be an emoji of like someone crying here, but it didn't come through. Anyway, there's no dark theme. And that's like, I don't even use dark theme, but when you can't have it, you kind of want it, right? So, and also like, is there a plugin for Survey Reporter? Is there like, you know, can you chat with it in a sidebar? No, you can't. It's antiquated. It's also painful to work with outside like sources of data. You have your survey data. How are you going to stream in data from Nielsen Net Ratings or stream in data from your Salesforce? It's a pain. APIs, like, and by the way, because I'm a guest in this industry, even though regardless of the 8 or 9 years, please call out any bullshit you see, because there will be. I don't know everything about this industry. I'm just rambling on, right? So you can't really script very easily like the data processing. Obviously, there are dimension scripts and things like that, but you don't have like an API for data processing. There's not a lot of like, you don't get like huge change logs in Survey Reporter. Like, ooh, I wonder what's coming up next. Obviously, it is being like developed, but because, and I can't blame them. It's like the whole world is using other tools, but we're using this tool, so it doesn't move as fast. And it's Windows only, which makes me cry. It scales poorly with large volumes of data. These scripts can run for like hours and even days. Okay, now we're on to the kind of slightly more positive part. So the name of the talk is why you should be switching to Python no later than now. Python is a programming language, which I guess most of you know. So this is like from a Stack Overflow survey of what the most popular technologies are being used by data scientists. And this was like 2022, so it'll have changed a lot since then. And Python will only have grown because of the whole AI malarkey. But basically, one reason to use Python is that everybody else is using Python. So, you know, that story I told about Netflix or Airbnb, those data pipelines will have Python in them. And like, everybody uses Python. And that means, I don't know if you know about Stack Overflow. It's a website that is about to go bust. It's basically where you went to ask questions about your coding. It's like, how do I do this? And some nice person, or usually a snarky person, would answer and say like, these are the lines of code. And that's basically how you did everything. Like you just looked at Stack Overflow, but now you go to AI and ask the question there. But I went onto Stack Overflow and I was trying to find like questions about like scripting dimensions. And there's not a lot of on Stack Overflow about scripting dimensions. Can ChatGPT write in dimensions? So, okay, like dimension scripts are visual basic scripts. so ChatGPT is going to be able to do something with it. But even like dimension scripts are like, there's not a lot out there. Even with programming languages that are popular, Rust, Go, these sexy programming languages, people are reporting that AI isn't quite as good as writing in those languages as it is in writing Python and JavaScript, because that's what everybody uses, and there's just so much code to train the AI in to use those particular programming languages. So that's the first reason to use Python. Reason number part 2. Running the actual scripts can be 10 or even 100 times faster. We've seen scripts that like take 6 hours take 5 minutes, and I'm not kidding. And one of the reasons is because you can address your own specific bottlenecks. If you have a techie who's written the code, you can optimize yourself where your bottlenecks are. You can spread it across different processors, different machines. It's easier to do it in the cloud. It basically can be, doesn't always have to be out of the box, but it can be way faster. And part 3, you get all sorts of good stuff, like the industry currently, like, it's strange how many people are writing dimension scripts and they don't use things like GitHub or Git. I don't know how many of you have heard of GitHub, but it's basically, it's like, it's where you keep your code, and it has a very good audit trail of who has done what. And that means you have auditability, you have repeatability. You can say, this script worked 6 months ago, but now it's like all screwed up. You can actually just go back in time in your DeLorean and look at what the script looked like 6 months ago, right? You can have quality control. Like in software, you're always doing like automated tests. These big, like for example, when I watch Emily in Paris, it goes through some pipeline, and Netflix will have like automatic tests that test this pipeline. So whenever they change something, it's like, boom, you broke something, alert, alert, don't put this into production. Like if you're using things like Python, you can have the exact same thing, except you're doing like, wait a minute, this derived variable now has a base of 0. Something is going wrong, right? So you can have like automated quality tests if you're in this ecosystem. Doesn't have to be Python, by the way. It can be almost like any mainstream language you want. But people are using Python for data, so that's why it's better if you choose Python. And then you can also like maybe someone has taken quantum and built something where it can like automatically read a data source and automatically push it into Tableau. I haven't seen it. Let me know if it can do that. But in Python, you don't have to do everything by yourself. Like you can read from any source, you can write to anything. There's so many people using it that any statistical method that anyone has ever thought of has been implemented in Python. You can be like pretty much sure of it because so many people are using it. Anyway, that was part 3. And then this is the annoying part where I become one of those guys. Someone was knocking LinkedIn, putting like a rocket ship as a comment on LinkedIn. And I was like, oh my God, I've been putting rocket ships in Teams. I'm that guy. So I'm going to be that guy now. And 3 more reasons to use Python. Are you ready? First is to prepare for AI. Because like where we're going, a lot of code is going to be written by AI. So that's reason number 1. And this is like the old joke. I work for a French company, so maybe I shouldn't say the joke. But what are the 3 key ingredients to French cuisine? It's butter, butter, and butter. So moving to the Python ecosystem means, like, the more that you've moved to the Python ecosystem, the more it means that you're ready for this shift that's happening. And to be annoying again, like when I'm on Twitter, which is too often, and you kind of try and wade through the fundamentalists and Elon Musk and all that crap, so sometimes you see people say things like, ooh, I would not recommend to anyone to go into computer science because it's all going to go away. And I think, like, what am I going to tell I have 3 kids, and what am I going to tell them? Like, Dad, should I go into computer science? Should I do coding like you did? what am I, like I'm tempted to say, well, if you're going to be a mediocre coder, then don't do it. But if you're going to be a good one, then it's going to be, you're going to have more fun than we ever did if you get good at it. But when I see on Twitter people saying like, it's going to change so many things, it's going to impact so many things, and everybody's so excited about it, it's like, sometimes it gets annoying because it's so much hype. But sadly, I'm going to be that guy now. And this is sometimes how I feel with all this AI stuff. There's like, we're sitting here in this nice conference and there's just a tidal wave coming towards us. And it's like, it hasn't really arrived, but we've seen it and we're all thinking like, you know, what on earth, what's it going to look like when it hits, you know? What are we going to do? Because I've been using AI a lot to do like vibe coding, like at work, just to like, and what happens is it makes you produce things like 10 times faster as a coder. It actually does. It's crazy. So the questions are like, if we can almost just generate code 10 times faster than we used to, does that mean that like we'll just have 10 times more progress, or will we just have less people writing code? I have no idea. But it doesn't have to be too worrying, because this is why you should be using Python, because your organization will be AI ready and you're going to be that guy and not that guy. So basically, one of the reasons why you should shift to Python, or just, it can be any mainstream programming language, but I would say Python because that's what is used for data. So shift over to Python, because then you can be riding that wave, you can be vibe coding. And I'm going to show you, so what is vibe coding? I'll show you. Right, I'm going to vibe code. And there's a Frenchman in the audience who shall remain anonymous, who told me once that whenever someone gives me a demo of software and it's recorded and it isn't live, it breaks my heart. And so I thought, okay, he's going to be in the audience. He's best buddies with my boss's boss's boss. So I'm going to do live coding so I don't disappoint the Frenchman. And then I tried, and and it's not going to be live. I'm sorry. So you heard like a sigh in the audience. But people have been doing a lot of vibe coding, and it's amazing. One thing that I recommend you do, which is totally crazy, go on to, so this is Claude. I like Claude because it's trendy for the coders, but you can go to ChatGPT, right? And here I say, I'm going to paste an idea in here, and you are going to ask me 10 one-line questions. And at the end, you are going to write a spec that I could use as a prompt for AI coding. This is the idea. I want a platform that runs surveys. And I'm basically recreating Askia with vibe coding, okay? So I paste in my idea here, and Claude starts asking me one-liner questions. Do you want this? Do you want this? And one of the questions was like, what kind of questions do you want in your survey platform? And I'm like, I'm going to go multiple choice, single choice, free text, and grids, because people love grids. And they're going to have single and multi-choice. And it's like, I've captured your answer, How do you want to handle storage? And I answered 10 questions. It spits out a spec, survey platform requirements. And then it just like, spits out the spec. I copy paste that. This is where I was going to do the live demo, but I failed. So you open one of these, so there are all these platforms where you can do vibe coding. And one of them is called, I always forget the name, it's called Cursor, is the most famous one. But this is a tool called Windsurf. And it's crazy. You take the spec, this is the spec that Claude spit out. It kind of like tells you like where the file should be and everything. And I've typed in my requirements. Can you please code up this entire app? And then just hit enter, and you go get a cup of coffee. And this is what I was going to do live. And then I was like, I've coded up your platform. You've replaced Askia in 30 minutes. and then I'm like, okay, great. And the vibe coding, he just fire up localhost, go to port 5000, and it was like, oh my god. And I log in, and I click on start survey, and it says, question not found. And this was like, I was practicing, I was going to do it live, so I did it a few times, and I was like, how do I get it to work? Like it's called, in vibe coding, it's called one shot. If you heard that, it's like one shot vibe coding. That's if you just prompt it once, and you get a program that works off the bat. I was going to do a one-shot vibe coding session with you guys, but it failed. It said like question not found. So I had to take the error message, and I was like, I was going to be sitting here like, give me 1 sec, give me 1 sec. I was not going to do that. So that's why it's not live. But I took the error message, pasted it back into Windsurf, and I was like, dude, this doesn't work. So it like, oh yeah, I can see the problem. And I'm not doing anything. I'm just like copy pasting errors into the machine. And so it fixed the problem. And here we are, example survey. And if I click on start survey, and this is where the video recording comes in, I put it on like twice the speed. So I do start survey, it's your favorite color, multi-choice, see, text, and a grid. Single choice grid. There you go. It's not a multi-level grid, but you know. So this kind of what I want to demonstrate here is if you can. This is like the most interesting time, even if you're not a developer. But if you're a developer and you've like done some of this before, this is the most interesting time to be alive as someone who is working with code, because it's just amazing. You can like. And this is kind of a little bit of a joke, like to do a whole like survey platform and like by vibe coding for half an hour. But imagine like if you know like I want to fix this bit, I want to fix this bit, I want to write this test. It actually does work. It's amazing how much more productive you can be. But in order to do this, another thing that we're doing at work is like we're doing AI agents, where you go like, ooh, you know, can you please tell me something about this data? And it goes and fetches the data and runs some crosstabs and like, here you are. In order for you to do that, in order for your organization to be AI ready, you need to have APIs, you need to have things like Python, you need to have like a tool stack that has dark mode, right? You need to be able to like connect to the data, you need to be able to leverage everything else, everything everybody has done in Python. Otherwise, the tidal wave, you're not going to be on that surfboard. You're going to be, you know, you're going to go under. So that's me being annoying on Twitter. I get annoyed when people say that. But this time, I think it may be true. That's it. So.
Thank you, Geir. That's excellent. I can see hands going, but I'll ask a non-tech question. Either at Ipsos or as you've seen wider in the industry, where are companies in that transition from the old tools designed for market research to Python and other tools? How is that evolution going?
I think I need a drink when you ask that question. I think there is awareness from the leadership, there's awareness that this needs to happen and we need to get there. And I think in these organizations, I do think that market research is full of very curious and tech-savvy people, actually. Like a lot of people who have been working with data, working with scripts and things like that. And I think most of them are quite excited. But it is because the tools, even though I knock them, they're not that bad. They are quite good. They do a lot of things. So, you know, so I can understand why people like using those tools. I guess it's just a matter of like showing them what they can get when they use more modern tools. Then you have like the incentive to move to this.
Is that Dimensions person at the back smashing things up? not happy with the answer. Let me offer it to the floor. Gary was the first hand. Talking of Dimensions people.
Yeah, didn't get a name check, don't mind. Anyway, what was interesting about that is one of the things that you kind of glossed over, which I think was quite important, was the prompting that you were using. Because as I was looking at it, it's quite in-depth and it's quite complicated. Do you see a convergence between a coder's skill set and somebody who is skilled at doing prompting? Because it looks like that's a fundamental skill in what you're doing. Is it Was that a complicated thing for you to learn, or is it in the same ballpark?
I was thinking the other day that we have this terminology for people who can emphasize with other people, like emotional intelligence. I think like a slightly dystopian thing is that we kind of have to have people who can emphasize with the machine. Because when I first started this vibe coding thing, you do get better at it because you kind of see like how to do it so that it actually works. And it doesn't have to be too technical, but the prompting thing is something that you do have to kind of learn by trial and error. So, and I think the more you know about the tech and the underlying, like if you're fairly good at tech, then you're going to be a better prompter than otherwise, I think, definitely.
At the back. No. Oh, okay. Next.
I really loved your talk. It was really good fun, and
Thank you.
I really enjoy making web apps, and I've been coding for years. And I do vibe coding as well. I must say that some of the ways it achieves its goals are a bit iffy sometimes. I mean, inefficiencies and some utter banana and stuff. And I'm really happy that I've got this experience so I can spot this sort of thing. How can we all get past these worries about the quality of the code? Maybe time is the answer with these things improving.
Yeah, at work I wrote this little script that does like AI code reviews. There's this concept where you do like people write some code and then some other code reviews it. And much to the annoyance of my team, I wrote this little AI thing, and it was like 70% of it was junk, which was a bit annoying. But 30% of it was like the AI was seeing things in the code that other people hadn't seen because the human eye just doesn't catch some of those things. So I think maybe one of the quality control issues that we will have, some of it can maybe even be solved by having the AI read it over. And it's like, yeah, like I wrote some web app as well, and I was like, look at this and tell me where the security vulnerabilities are. And it's like, oh, you have to check this and this and this. And that was actually like quite a good audit. So I think that, and I also think that one kind of dangerous thing is like the not too experienced programmers just like vibe coding something and releasing it into the wild. That can be dangerous because like it can be released and it does get launched and it does work, but it'll have, like as you say, there are going to be problems with the code. So I think it's just a matter of we will learn it as we go along and educate ourselves, I guess.
Okay, final question.
I was going to say that last point is one of the ones I was trying to make too. It just changed. The requirements change, and you've got different people trying to code that were researchers previously. But my question was, if it took you half an hour to get rid of Askia, yeah, how long will it take you to get rid of Ipsos? Because they're quite a big competitor of mine, and maybe I should give you a job.
They do pay my salary, so
I have a question. And Askia was written by an LLM, but written in 1950, so that's why it's a bit rubbish. But you've glossed over something which is important, which I did not believe was possible before you showed me it was possible. We were always taught that market research data is specific. We got multiple questions, we got weighting, we got levels, and you glossed over that saying like, oh, it's possible with Python. I know it's possible because I've seen you do it, but can you explain how you did it? And not in too much detail because we don't have that much time. But that's what the first argument is like. We had to use quantum because one, it was faster, and it's the only one that could be used with market research data.
So, I guess I was on a call at Ipsos and I was showing them some of the AI agentic stuff that we were doing, and one of the questions was like, does this work with just survey data, what you just showed me, or can it work with other pieces of data? And with regards to AI agents, an agent is basically like you tell the AI to do something, and then you go get a cup of coffee, and it's ordered you a flight to, Bulgaria or something. That's like an agent that has agency. So we're doing that for survey data. And someone asked, can you do other bits of data? And the answer to your question, Jerome, is you have to write some code that enables the AI to work with your specific type of data. And in the case of market research, it's like, you do have to be able to deal with grids and multiple choice. But that's not like, that's just a little bit of time you have to invest in being able to run crosstabs and create derived variables using that type of data. Just as if you were working with geospatial data, you would have to write some tools specific to that field in order to enable the AI to understand it. So you do have to invest in giving the AI the tools to understand this specific set of data. So there is work to be done, actual development work, that's not just going to be vibe coded. Someone actually has to make sure that it's doing the right things. But that's how it can be used to work with survey data and any other data.
Okay, I suspect this conversation will continue over lunch, but thank you very much, Geir.
Thank you.